Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I share recipes, meal prep, and dinner inspiration. Today I'm going to share a few tips, tricks, rhythms, and routines that enable me to keep on top of the planning and prep it takes to prepare 3 homemade meals per day, so let's dive in. My number one tip is meal planning. Having a plan for meals saves us so much time, money, and stress, but getting started can be overwhelming. There are so many methods and systems and strategies when it comes to meal planning, but the key is just finding what works for you. I recently shared how we plan for our family of 5, so if you're looking for ideas or inspiration in this area, check out this video here. It will be linked in the description box below. My next tip is meal prepping. I basically have what I view as 2 different types of meal prep happening in my kitchen. The first one being weekly. Once I have all my meals planned for the week here, I am able to look for ways I can simplify our week. For example, I am able to see here that I have oatmeal planned for breakfast 3 times this week. So on that first morning I make oatmeal. While I have all my ingredients already out, I'm going to go ahead and measure out the remaining 2 days worth. When I'm able to see everything written out, I can see all the ways I'm able to make my week run smoother in the kitchen. I have spaghetti and meatballs planned for dinner here, so I'll be sure to prepare extra sauce for lunch here, and I'm also going to be sure to prepare extra meatballs because the leftovers can be used for these meatball subs planned here. Most of our breakfast is pre-made or simple to throw together, so our mornings run pretty smoothly. Meal planning allows me to take advantage of these small pockets of time I have in the morning to get a jump on that dinner time hustle. Again, looking ahead, I'm able to fry extra bacon for this meal, throw together the glaze for this. It's going to look different for everyone and different from week to week. I challenge you to study your meal plan and see how you're able to simplify your week. As you master the skill of planning, you will begin to create your own rhythm and routine. In most all the recipes I share on my channel, I include tips and tricks for prepping, so check them out. The second way I prep, and where I'm able to save the most money at the grocery store, is monthly freezer prepping. Each item on this list is prepped once per month in large batches for the freezer. In this video here, I share all my freezer staples and how I use them. You'll find my freezer stash looks a little differently than neatly stacked Ziploc bags of dump and go crock-pot meals and foil-lined casseroles. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just my current freezer space is limited, so most everything I prep for the freezer serves us in multiple ways, and I seek out recipes that allow me to incorporate these staples. For example, these frozen chicken nuggets are not only eaten in nugget form. I also serve them over salad, with mashed potatoes and gravy, or tossed in an Asian-style glaze. Tortillas are used for wraps, breakfast burritos, quesadillas, in enchiladas, and toasted for chips. And of course, tacos. I have frozen biscuits here, and meatballs. You get the idea. By the way, I'm regularly sharing recipes and inspirations with these graphics on Facebook, so be sure to come find me. You can also find these in the community tab here on YouTube. I dedicate 1 day per week to prepping some of the items on this list. Each week, I'll take a quick inventory of my freezer and decide what I need to replenish. I'll then check my pantry and fridge, making sure I have all the needed ingredients, adding what I need to my grocery list as I'm meal planning. We've been taking Mondays off from homeschooling, so that's typically the day I dedicate to this task. Because I am familiar with each of these recipes, I've become faster and more efficient when it comes to prepping them. And over the years, I have realized some ways that make prepping day run a little smoother. First, I plan a crock-pot or freezer meal for the day that I'm prepping. The last thing I feel like doing is preparing a meal after a day of meal prepping. Secondly, I go to bed with a completely clean kitchen the night before prepping day. This is something I try and do every night, but if I'm being honest, it doesn't always happen. However, I make it a priority the day before I plan to prep. Depending on what I'm prepping, there are also some small things I like to do to prepare. Tortillas. These are the most time-consuming and messiest item on my list. I dread tortilla day, but we probably eat them more than anything else on this list. I have learned not to prep tortillas on a heavy prep day. I never prep them on a day I'm doing chicken nuggets or pizza. I find that's just too much for me in one day. I also like to pre-measure and grate the shortening the day before. Same with pie crust and biscuits. Having the butter already measured and cut up makes a world of difference on prep day. I like to prepare the dough for frozen pizza the night before. I find letting the dough slowly rise in the fridge overnight gives me a better crust. And by the way, I have a new pizza dough recipe. This recipe gives me 4 large crusts, and I will put that in the description box below. If chicken nuggets are on my list, I like to pre-cut and season the breasts the day before. I also make sure I have plenty of breadcrumbs. I make my own using crackers, and I find the day just runs smoother if I've already run them through the food processor the night before. I always have some kind of cracker dough in my freezer, so if these chocolate graham crackers or these cheese crackers are on my list, it just means I'll be thawing and baking. I can usually find time in the week to throw together the dough for cookies and crackers, and I always double up the recipe when I do to ensure my freezer is stocked. My last bit of advice, if you're new to meal planning, prepping, and cooking from scratch, just remember that it takes time and practice, but in time you will develop your own rhythms and routines that work for you and your family. So give yourself some grace and know that it's not the end of the world if you end up purchasing store-bought tortillas or ordering a pizza one night. Okay guys, that's all I've got for you. I hope I was able to clearly explain my methods for meal planning and prep. If you have any questions, please comment below. Like this video if you thought it was helpful, share if you feel like it's worth sharing, and tap on that subscribe button if you haven't already and want to see more. Until next time.